I truly love to collaborate. I love that tug and pull of constantly chipping away at this block of marble until we unearth who she actually is. Um, but it is important sometimes to advocate, yes, for what you feel deep down instinctively is truthful for the character. Um, and to trust those instincts so fiercely. And also to know when someone else's instincts are more interesting, more truthful choice. And so the thing is, like, I'm always up to play and try things different ways and stuff like that, as long as we're telling the truth. Let's just tell the truth. That's it. That's it. It's so simple. It's just truth.
Filmmaker Magazine presents Back to One with Peter Rinaldi.
Jurnee Smollett is an actor. She sat down with me in cyberspace to talk about the work. When I've heard you talk about your preparation process, I've heard you say that you like to journal and you like to ask yourself questions about the character, very specific questions, like an example you used once was, did she have breakfast today and what was it? When you ask questions that specific, when you start building that up, how is that actually tangibly helping you?
It's hard to analyze how it helps because it's the only way I know how to do it, at this point. But I think more so, it's just that it informs you in something that's very important as far as like where they're coming from. You can't really know where they're going unless you know where they're coming from. And so, for instance, I'm doing a movie now with Alice and Janney, and most of the movie takes place in the woods. And there's things you'll never actually see on camera, like, okay, how they use the bathroom, or how hungry are they? How are they eating? What are they eating? But it informs me as an actor, like, okay, what's my fatigue level in this moment? How long have I been going? How many hours have I been going without sleep? And that your body will register. It's not even something that you have to really draw much attention to. It just helps me make choices. How much do I walk into the scene? How much energy do I bring into the scene?
Yes.
Right? What has happened to me prior to this is something that I'm constantly asking myself and trying to remind myself. So I think that's more so what it does to inform me. I'm very involved with the department heads. I have all the opinions about what kind of sheets she sleeps on.
Yes.
I love working with costume designers. Dana Pink and I had the time of our life, with Letty in Lovecraft Country. But all of those decisions, those very specific decisions, just help me make very strategic choices that create a whole tapestry of the character. And I feel that you can sense the specificity.
Yes.
When I watch someone's performance, I can sense the specificity when I'm watching it.
Oh, yes.
That's just how and look, these are just things that I've picked up from other actors, honestly, as I've worked. I started journaling about my character once I worked with Denzel, because that's what he does. He writes a whole biography of the character, from birth until now. And so I started doing that and found that it was very helpful for me to have discussions with directors, in saying, well, she wouldn't say that, or she would say that, or she wouldn't do that, or she would do that. And we just have to get on the same page as far as like who this character is. And then we're golden. Are we making the same movie? Are we telling the same story? And so, it's just about, for me, having a real rich interior life.
Yes.
For the character.
Yes. And you also said true character is revealed when they are forced to make a choice. Look at the choices a character makes, not what they say. And so this is you kind of staking out a character, trying to find something, right? I mean, this is what you're doing in the research. This is what you're doing in the preparation. Like, there's all these questions. There's all these things. There's all, like, what's going to help? What is going to work for me here? And then, so then you're saying, like, the dialogue is actually not really such a great entry point into what is actually going on in their interior life, kind of, right? Because it's almost like a lot of that stuff is just like kind of what they have to say, or just like in real life. It's like it's not a good indication of what's going on inside. Is that right?
Well, I guess I would clarify and refine that it's not that it's not a good indication. It absolutely is. It always is. It all is. Even what other characters say about the character is a good indication. But sometimes we tell ourselves stories. Sometimes we lie. Sometimes we are living a lie. Sometimes it's an illusion. And it's your job as the actor to be able to decipher the difference, right? My character, so Letty decided to not go to her mother's funeral, right? That was such a massive clue to me, that choice. And she struggles with it, and she feels bad about it. And she says, she talks about it in different ways, but still I was like, oh, ding, 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 there we go. She disappeared for a very long time. And her sister says, I don't know where she's just kind of run in from, or something. Yeah, I'm paraphrasing Ruby, but she kind of indicates, like, I don't know where my sister's been. And she just has shown up on the side of my stage requesting a song for me to sing. That told me so much about her. That she's incapable. She might be incapable of long-term attachment. Why is she doing this dance with her sister, right? So yeah, dialogue absolutely tells you information about the character. However, the choices that they make, specifically the choices they make under pressure, tell you everything.
So many actors on this show have talked about something that I kept secretly saying, this doesn't make sense to me. This doesn't make sense to me. But, oh, wow. Okay, maybe I could learn from this. And that is that they need to understand and know the entire journey of the character in order to figure out how to play things moment to moment. And I heard you say you don't want to know that. And I went, yes, this is maybe what I don't like about a lot of shows and movies, which is this long game kind of performance thing. Indicating. Yeah. Like there's something not going on, true to the moment. And researching you're all about, like, butting heads with directors, even about being true to the moment, being true to the character, being true, and just talk to me a little bit about that.
I think it depends on the medium. So obviously with a film, you absolutely know. And because you have 90 minutes, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, whatever, to tell this story, you do know. With television, hopefully you've taken on a project in which you trust the storytellers, right? Yeah, in this instance, I had an incredible amount of trust with Misha. And it's like, Misha's job, if she wants by episode 10 me to get somewhere, well, damn it, she better have written it.
Yes.
Okay, right? I, as the actor, do not need, spoiler alert, I'll talk specifics, do not need to know that I become pregnant by, episode 5, 6, 7, right? I don't need to know that in episode 3.
Right.
Because Letty don't know that.
Right.
And how does it serve me? Now, if it's information that does serve the character and the choices I would make. If it's like, okay, I'm playing some serial killer and, you know, for instance, I watched Mayor of Easttown, right? Like, I would need to know if I actually was the person that killed her, right? And I'm playing that character.
Right.
I would need you to tell me.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah.
In the episode when I take it on. Like, that's not information that you just kind of say, you know, by the way, we decided it's you. You know, it's like, if the character does not know it,
yes,
why do I, the actor, need to know it beyond what I know?
Right.
If I'm playing the truth. Now, again, it comes back to the writer. If the writer and the creatives, you know, by episode 10 want to reveal some cool thing that the character already knew, then yeah, you should have told me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just need to know what the character knows, is what I'm saying.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. And it's funny, like, there's a story of Pacino in the movie Cruising. Friedkin at the very end, he's like, Al, actually, you're the killer that you've been looking for this whole time, and we're going to film that ending. He's like, what? Like, the whole movie he's looking for a killer, and it ends up that he's the killer. I mean, can you imagine that kind of betrayal? Of like playing, it's exactly the nightmare you're talking about. Like this would be like Pacino can't even, like, he wants that stricken from his oeuvre. Like he doesn't want that as a movie because it's such a weird betrayal of his performance then.
Yeah. Well, I agree. You know, it's like another great Pacino performance, obviously, is Michael Corleone, The Godfather. But when you watch the patience that he had with his performance, you absolutely can see in his eyes that he's going to be a killer.
Oh, that's interesting.
But he has an incredible, he has an incredible amount of patience with it, which the studio didn't like at that moment, because they were like, wait, he don't seem like a killer. Yeah. But if you actually watch it, you actually watch in his eyes, you will completely see, oh, that man he's too old. You know, like you.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, one of my favorite moments in Godfather is when he finds out that Fredo betrayed him.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite, I think.
There's no dialogue.
Yeah.
There is no freaking dialogue.
Just the way he's looking at it.
It's just, when he overhears him say.
Yeah.
When he overhears his brother say that, wait, it's like.
Yeah.
The camera work is so brilliant. They don't need no massive extreme close-up. I mean, it does it all.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
No, it's just, I think the actor has to know what they need to know.
Yes.
Again, it depends on the story that you're telling, right? The medium of the story. Like, oftentimes in TV, the writers don't always know where they're taking your character, right?
Yeah.
But if it's on a truthful trajectory, and that's the big trust you have to have in TV. If you're taking on The Godfather, again, if you are someone who becomes a killer, I'm gonna need you to let me know that I eventually become a killer. I have in me the capacity to be a serial killer or to become the Godfather. Like, I need you to tell me that, right? That absolutely. And that's the thing, is when I sat down with Misha in playing Letty, there were lots of things she told me about Letty that I needed to know. That, yes, it hadn't gotten to that point yet. We weren't shooting that yet. You know, it wasn't in the pilot. The scripts weren't written, but she let me know the overall arc, of what I should know. But yeah, there were certain things she kept from me, and it was completely fine, because as long as it's a truthful trajectory for the character. As long as it's like, yes, that's the natural progression. Yes, that's the natural arc of where she would go. Now, if they start writing shit for me, that's when we butt heads. If it's not truthful, that's where I go, okay, well then you should have told me, because I wouldn't have made that choice, or the character wouldn't have made that choice. That's an artificial choice you're making for the character, and that's when I fight, and that's when I butt heads, and that's when I say no. That's where it comes down to trusting the writers. If they're doing their job well, we should be okay.
And I want, as a director, an actor like you who is not afraid to fight about these things because you care, and you're not just going to follow suit, but it's also like knowing when to fight and why fight and what to fight for as to do your work that you need to do. I don't think this is talked about enough on this show. The idea of protecting your work because you're putting a lot of effort into this. And it might almost sound like protecting your work. This is collaboration. You have to, and everybody knows that that's important, but there's also something about protecting your work as an actor because this is your work too. Am I making sense here? And can you talk a little bit about this?
Yeah. My biggest pet peeve within the collaborative process is when folks kind of treat you like a puppet. It's like, go there, sit there, do that, and for me, that's not why I'm in this. I'm in this because, listen, I want my fellow collaborators, whether it's the director or the department heads or my scene partners, I want them to push me and challenge me too. So I guess because I expect it from them, I dish it out as well. I'm always asking questions. I'm always trying to understand it. And if someone can get me to understand, this very specific vision, then I'm on board. The thing is we do so much research and it's really just about us crafting something together. I'm not the person that's like, it's my way or the highway type of thing. I truly love to collaborate. I love that tug and pull of constantly chipping away at this block of marble until we unearth who she actually is. But it is important sometimes to advocate, yes, for what you feel deep down instinctively is truthful for the character. And to trust those instincts so fiercely. And also to know when someone else's instincts are more interesting, more truthful choice. And so the thing is, like, I'm always up to play and try things different ways and stuff like that. As long as we're telling the truth, let's just tell the truth. That's it. That's it. It's so simple. It's just truth. But yeah, it is time. There's times where you truly do have to advocate. And I think I've just done it so long that there's been times in which I haven't advocated for the character or advocated for my instincts. And I've ended up not feeling good with it. I can live with the results. If the results don't turn out the way I wanted them to, but at least I was trusting my instincts, I can live with that. I can't really live with the moments in which I'm like, shit, but I should have said that, or shit, I shouldn't have yielded with that.
I heard you talk about a scene in episode 3, I think it was the exorcism scene, where, you had to speak up to the director and say, because there's a lot going on in that scene and they're shooting in a certain way. And it's like, you had to say, there's only so much we're going to be able to give 100% here. And like, if you're going to start doing close-ups, like after all this shots where you get all your CGI shots or proper, all that, the well is going to be dry, perhaps. So we're talking about this in the same kind of conversation of speaking up, but it's almost like speaking up where it's like, you want to make sure that he or she is going to be, not falling into a trap with their job. It's kind of like, that's basically what you're talking about in that moment.
Yeah, well, because it's a big sequence, and on the page, it doesn't even read as big as it ended up being. And sometimes I think folks are so focused on the details that they're missing sometimes the bigger story.
Right.
And the bigger story is not these pictures flying around in this moment. The bigger story is Atticus is being possessed by this demon. He is approaching Letty, and Letty has to muster the spirits and gather the spirits to fight and stand her ground in her house and claim her territory. I mean, the essence of the scene is with these people.
Right.
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 And not with these special effects.
Right.
And it's just chemistry. It's just biology. I mean, I stay drinking water, not because of my vanity, but because it's like your body has to stay hydrated to keep up your stamina. We shot this scene over a sequence over a course of 3 days. And so
Wow.
it's just biology, right? You know, and Jonathan and I are not the type of actors where it's like, all right, we're going to just phone it in until we know you're ready to do our close-ups.
Right.
I mean, we don't even know how to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, we truly don't know how to do that. And so, yeah, it definitely, there was that moment where I realized, I mean, Jonathan's at his max. And look, that brother, the idea of a well drying up is not possible for him, okay? You know, but still, the thing that's so beautiful about collaboration is we take care of each other, you know, and that's what we all did so much on Lovecraft Country, and knowing that this text demanded so much of our mind, body, and spirit. And for me, I know my instrument, and I know that there are moments that I just have to take care of my instrument, and I just have to let someone know, listen, right now, I don't want to hurt myself.
Right.
You know, I don't want to pop a vein.
Right.
I don't want to, you know, do something that could hurt my instrument, and then I'm out for a few days or something like that. Like, it's a very simple thing. And sometimes, like, you know, it's just the filmmakers are so consumed with all these other aspects. It's a big sequence. And again, in the collaborative process, you know, you just gotta sometimes wave and say, hi, hello, you know, I need to be cared for in this moment. And this is what I need.
Yes.
This is what I need. It's a very simple thing. Just saying what you need and being aware of what you need and not being ashamed that you have needs.
That's right. Every department has needs. If the art department spoke up and said, here's what I need, everybody listens, right? Every department has the need.
I mean, it's like a running joke. It's a running joke in the hair and makeup department. I always hear them bitch and complain, you know, when it's time for them to do their job, everyone's like, all right, rolling, you know, not giving them time to do their touch-ups. But when lighting comes in, like they always say that, but when lighting comes in and lighting wants to change a bulb, they get 30 minutes for a lighting setup, you know. And so we are all here making this beautiful masterpiece together, and everyone just wants to do their job. And we all just have to let our needs be known. What do we need in order to do our job? And in that moment, I needed him to get that fucking camera from behind the back of my head. And this is what I not only said to do the close-up, I was like, can you do double coverage and cover me and Jonathan at the same time? Ooh. Which, thank God, they did.
That's awesome.
They can't always do it. But in the moments when they can, it really helps. It really helps because we're meeting each other, you know, and we're in it. And let's just take care of each other and let's just do it. And so they did, you know, I mean, again, it's my job as the actor to not let my well dry up, right? Yeah, so look, at the end of the day, I'm not going to fucking let that happen. Yeah. Like, it's just not an option. But also I don't need to have to work unnecessarily hard in a sequence that's already challenging. Right. I find myself doing that quite often, you know, just letting the director or the camera operator or the DP, whomever it is, just letting them know what it is I need to do my job. And I find it just creates a safety, an environment to feel safe to do it.
Another quote from you. Acting has been a mechanism for growth for survival, actually. I don't know why that struck me. I wrote it down, like survival. I mean, I want to be surrounded by people that think of it like that and in that big of a way. Can you speak to that?
Look, we've seen over the past year and a half how essential art is for humanity's survival. We were all locked up in isolation, and how much art did we just need to consume? And so historically, I think humanity has had the desire to be told stories, to witness stories, to tell stories. Storytelling in itself is essential for us, for human beings. And so it's essential for me as an artist to participate in the art of storytelling. It's interesting. Jonathan Majors had sent me this beautiful James Baldwin speech in which he talks about the integrity of the artist. And he talks about this force that you didn't ask for, this destiny, which you just must accept, and yet it's also your responsibility, he says,
Yes.
And if you survive, he says, if you don't cheat, if you don't lie, it's not only your glory or your achievement, it's what does he say? He says it's almost our only hope. That's what he says.
Oh.
And it's so beautiful, this idea that this force gives us hope,
Yes.
that I think he goes on to talk about how only artists throughout time have been able to make us understand what life actually means. Has given some sort of, has illuminated some sort of truth to it all, illuminated some sort of path. So that's what I mean. Yeah.
Jurnee Smollett, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Back to One is a production of Filmmaker Magazine, which is a publication of The Gotham, formerly IFP. Listen to back episodes of this podcast at filmmakermagazine.com or wherever you get your podcasts.